Hello, you big, beautiful souls. Today, Aralamb wanted to talk to you a little bit about forgiveness. I've had a few people online asking about forgiveness, and the reason being is obviously forgiveness can be so hard in our lives. And Aralamb is saying right now that forgiveness is, in all actuality, one of the most powerful tools that you have for your soul. It's one of the most powerful tools that you have. And that is not meant to be in any cliche or flip way that people say, oh, forgive, forgive. Yes, he burned your house down, forgive him. That kind of thing. Or he hurt you, or she hurt you, or, my ex-husband or my ex-wife or my ex-partner. Forgiveness is a word that gets thrown around quite a lot. Aralamb is saying right now, though, forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools that you have for spiritual enlightenment, for spiritual growth, for the growth of your soul. And the reason is this: your soul is clean when it comes upon the planet. When you're first born, you have a clean soul. You are a clean vessel. And the idea throughout your life is that you want to keep looking inward and look at your soul and try to determine what is keeping your soul from being at its cleanest, highest resonance level. So, in other words, as you experience things throughout your life, you have bumps and bruises and emotional knocks and things happen to you. But how you hold on to those things or don't hold on to those things is very powerful. And Aralamb is saying, for instance, say that you had a very abusive parent when you were a child, okay? Now you hold on to those things and you move forward in your life. And you may be a very well-adjusted human being, but from a soul perspective, are you holding on to the fear and the anger and the pain from those experiences? Because if you are, even if you're acting as though, and Aralamb is saying, even if you're moving forward with your life as if nothing negative or bad happened, you absolutely are still holding on to that in the spiritual and soul levels of your being. And so forgiveness comes in this way. If there is someone who you perceived has wronged you in your lifetime, in order to begin to forgive them first, Aralamb is saying, first you want to look at the idea that most likely the people that are the most difficult in your life, the people that you've had the most difficult relationships, those are the people that would have agreed to come in with you to have those relationships. Okay? So to forgive those people, it doesn't show weakness on your part. It doesn't show that you're saying that it's okay that they hurt you or it's okay, their actions were just fine. But giving forgiveness, even if you're just forgiving them in your own mind, you're letting them go. You're letting them out of that soul contract. And you're moving forward with a cleaner soul. So forgiveness, because I can hear some of you saying out loud, how do you just forgive someone? How do you do that? So Aralamb is saying the first thing that you need to do is understand that what they did to you, whatever the trauma or the slight, whatever it was that they did to you, it truly isn't about you. It truly isn't about you. It's about them and what they were doing and their response to different situations. So when you can start to understand that it wasn't about you, if you were abused as a child, if you had an abusive spouse or partner, if you've had someone cheat you out of money, or you had someone steal something for you, or God forbid, someone killed a loved one, or all of the things that can happen to us. What if, and Aralamb is saying, what if you frame it in a way that lets you understand, yes, those were terrible things that person did. It was terrible, hurtful to me. But honestly, it wasn't about me. That's about them acting badly. So from that point, if you understand that it's not about you, then you can begin to look at it from the outside in an objective way. And you can begin to say, I don't want to live with this trauma for the rest of my life. I don't want to carry this forward in my soul. I don't want to feel this trauma every day. I don't want to relive it in my mind every day. I want to begin to release it. And so the first step is just to understand that to forgive someone is to look at them and say, okay, they were being very dysfunctional and that's not about me at all. So I can release that part of it. Now, Aralamb is saying secondarily with forgiveness, that doesn't mean that you stay in a relationship that's hurting you. You don't, He's saying you would never keep your hand over an open flame knowing that it's burning your hand, but you can pull your hand away. And he's saying in the same instance, you can forgive someone and then remove yourself from their presence. But he's saying, here's the key to forgiveness. You must forgive without any conditions. So hear that. You must forgive the other person without putting any conditions on it, meaning you've got to forgive that person. You've got to think in your mind, I know this wasn't about me fully. I'm going to release them, and I am not going to have any more negative feelings about that person. And if I'm stuck in a repeating loop in my head where I'm constantly thinking how bad they were and I'm going over all the things they did to me, you got to stop that. And Aralamb is always a big proponent too. If you can't stop that on your own, then you need to go talk to somebody who can help you with the actual physical stopping that, some type of counseling. However, from a spiritual standpoint, you need to start forgiving. And forgiving is full release with no conditions, meaning you have to. Here's an example. Aralamb is saying, use one of your own examples. He's telling me to use an example. You know, if you've left a marriage because it wasn't working, what you have to do, at least for yourself, is admit, I was in that marriage because on some level, I loved that person. Or I was with that partner because on some level, I loved that person. I have to admit that. I loved that person. They were abusive to me or we were abusive to each other, but either way, it ended badly. So now I need to admit, I loved that person. I loved them. But I also need to forgive them and let them go. Because then you're not only admitting that you did have the loving feelings, and you're doing that without any resentment at all. And so these are the ways, and Aralamb is saying right now, these small steps that you can take toward forgiveness and release of the other person goes, he's saying, thousands and thousands of times toward your soul growing and lightening up. Because the whole way that you grow your soul and you get closer to the creator and you move up levels, he's saying, and you're learning and growing, is that you must leave behind you all of the negative things that you're holding on to. You have to do that. You have to do it. And it's one of the hardest things. And in session upon session, I do sessions with people. And always for people, there are people in their past that they still are holding on to the pain of being mistreated by or situations that didn't go well, right? And so we're still holding on to that. And in order to grow and move through the levels of your own growth for your own soul and all of the souls around you, you really have to begin to forgive. And Aralamb is saying right now, not to sound cliche, but the simplicity of it is that you need to forgive in love. Meaning, if your mother abused you horribly, the truth is that when you were a child, even though she abused you, you loved her. She was your mother. You loved her. So you need to now as an adult say, I loved her. She abused me. I have to forgive her and let her go because she did the best she knew how to do. That's all she knew how to do. And that wasn't my fault, and it wasn't about me. And by doing that, you can release yourself. So forgiveness is a kind of a twofold thing, okay? Now, say a complete stranger burns your house down, okay? You don't have love for that stranger, but what you can do is understand that stranger, if they burnt your house down, they have really big problems in here, right? They already have a lot of problems. So the best way for you to heal is to physically and psychologically say to yourself, I am going to release that person. I'm going to release that person. I have to release the fear and the guilt. I have to release everything around them and let them go in order to clear your own soul, okay? Because we all want to grow and we all want to learn. And everyone, all of you listening right here, and Aralamb is saying, everyone listening to this has a big, huge soul. And forgiveness is a huge part of it. He's also saying, in closing, forgiveness doesn't have to be done once, and it doesn't have to be done overnight, right? He's saying it's something that you might have to work on. Maybe you work on it for 2 months. Maybe you can forgive in a day. Maybe it takes you a year. But the bottom line is you need to keep coming back to that forgiveness place with all of those souls in your life that you have had trauma through the hands of, because you would have agreed that you you would have made an agreement to have the trauma with them, but what you also would have made the agreement, the contract, would have been that you learn to forgive and grow past it, then clearing your own soul of that lesson. And by doing that, you're helping everyone else in your life as well. Okay? So listen, thank you for listening. I appreciate you all so much. Have a wonderful day.